Come on in the room, everyone. Come on in the room. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? Come on in the room. And welcome to Key Points with Kia. I am your host, Kia, K to the I to the A. That's what they call me. And I'm back, y'all. I'm back, y'all. I'm back, y'all. I know it's not a Sunday. Today is Monday. My birthday was just past Saturday. If you're an Aquarius and you're watching this video, happy birthday. Because all the Aquariuses are coming through and going out and getting ready for the Pisces. But anyway, I'm back with another video today. So get your popcorn, get your drink of choice, and let's talk. Period. So the topic for today is setting boundaries in 2025. Yes, setting boundaries for yourself and your family, friends, whoever. That's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about basically the importance of setting boundaries. How can you start setting boundaries? And then I'm going to end it with my opinion about boundaries, my boundaries, everything that's basically included into this video. So we're going to get started. So the importance of boundaries for me is you want to set boundaries so you won't be open to any and everything. Also, you want to set boundaries so won't nobody try to just pull off anything with you or do or say anything to you. When you don't have a boundary set, it's just like you're almost like you're open book. You might just let anything fly. And that's just, to me, and this is just my personal opinion, to me, that's how I feel when you don't have no boundaries set. I just started setting boundaries for myself, y'all. So listen, it's nothing wrong with starting. Hey, at least you starting. So I want to say, if you haven't started, start. So now we're going to get into how we can start. So for me, what I did is I sat down when I took the time out to figure out what kind of boundaries I want to set. I even looked up what boundaries mean and things of that nature. Basically, boundaries means that there's something set in place for someone not to do or persons not to do or say to you. And if they was to overstep them boundaries or step over that boundary, you can bring them back and say, hey, that's one of my boundaries. Please don't do that again. So like I said, I sat down and I took some time to really think about certain boundaries that I wanted to come up with. And I came up with at least 5, right? I came up with at least 5 boundaries, okay? So once I came up with my boundaries, I feel like now it's time to set them in motion. And when I say set them in motion, I mean tell your friends, your family, your lover, your whoever's in your life that you deal with on a consistent basis. You should tell them your boundaries so they know what not to do or say to you to make you feel like they're crossing a boundary or they're stepping on a boundary. You want to communicate that. Communication is the key in everything these days, guys. I know I always say that in my video, but it really is. Communication is the key in everything. And listen, I was not a big communicator. I was not. Like, I held a lot of things in. And then when I got tired, I just lashed out. But now I'm doing my best to communicate more with my loved ones about how I'm feeling. If I feel a way, I let you know right away what's going on. And that come from not setting boundaries, in my opinion. I never set boundaries with anyone. So I felt like when people was doing stuff, I just would be like, okay, it's all right. I let it go. But really internally, it was building up. And then when it built up to that breaking point, I just lashed out on that person. Excuse me. I just lashed out on that person, which is not good. You shouldn't let things build up to a point where now you don't have no choice but to go off on that person because it's been building for so long that now whatever they done said, it could be the smallest thing, y'all. Whatever they done said, that done topped everything, and now it's just boom, flames. I don't want to be like that no more. I rather communicate. So that's why it's important, like I said, to set boundaries. So you want to sit down and you really want to really think about the kind of boundaries you want to have. That's what you really want to think about, what kind of boundaries do you want to have. And if you don't know what boundaries is, go look it up. Google got everything. Google tell you everything. Go look up what boundaries is. It's going to give you an example of what kind of boundaries you can set and everything. So that's what I did. I went and looked it up, and I seen the examples, and I said, okay. And I started coming up with my own. Now, once you come up with your own, then it's time to put it in motion, like I was saying. And that means you go and you tell the loved ones your boundaries because you don't want them to overdo it. And I know I just repeated myself, but anyway, oh well. You don't want them to overstep, you know, because basically you already allowed them to do that in the beginning if they did it. And so now that you got boundaries, you want to let them know so they won't overstep them. Because if you let them overstep them, it's no point in having them. Boundaries is for to be set for you to feel comfortable, safe, whatever you want to call it, or say, hey, this is the boundary. I'm not letting no one overstep that. So when you make your boundaries, stand by those boundaries because that's very important. Stand on your boundaries. Stand 10 toes. 10 toes, 10 fingers, stand on them. Because if you're not standing on them, then there's no point in having boundaries. There's no point in having boundaries if you're not going to stand on them. How is someone else going to stand on them or respect them if you don't even respect them yourself? So the boundaries that I made, I respect them, and I want others to respect them. Now, have I went to my friends and family yet and told them my boundaries? No, that's my next step. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all I did something that I didn't do because I didn't. But that's my next step is to tell my loved ones my boundaries so they won't overstep them. One of my boundaries, for an example, is I'm no longer letting anyone hold or borrow any of my belongings. People do not know how to give things back. And I'm not sitting here saying, like, you got to give them back right away and stuff like that. But it is a time limit on things. And I also want my things returned back to me the way I gave them to you. People don't know how to take care of other people's belongings. But if you was to borrow something from them, they want you to take care of it. It's just messed up how that go. But yeah, that's one of my boundaries. I'm no longer allowing anyone to hold anything of mine. A pocketbook, a wallet, flat arms, anything. Because people just don't know how to give things back in a timely manner. They just don't. So instead of me feeling away and bottling that stuff up and lashing out and that's one of my boundaries. I'm just not doing it. Don't ask, because I'm not. You can't hold it. Period. So that's one of my boundaries. And I made that boundary because of a certain reason, which I feel like I don't want to discuss right now. But I definitely made that boundary for a certain reason because it's like, I don't have money to be going out here keep buying the same stuff over and over that I already bought. I ain't no dang going baller. I wish, but I'm not. I have a regular job like everyone else. I don't have it like that to always go out and keep buying the same stuff that I done bought and had already, and I let somebody borrow it and they ain't returned it, or they saying they returned it and I never received it and all that foolishness. Nope. So that's one of my boundaries. I came on here to tell you about boundaries, so I had to at least give you one of mine. So that's one of my boundaries that I have, right? So like I said, once you sit down and you set boundaries, then you put them in motion, then you stand on those boundaries. You got to stand on them. You have to stand on them. There's no point in making something that you're not going to stand on. If you're not going to stand on it, they're not going to stand on it. They're not going to respect it. Ain't no point in having it, right? And like I said, communication is the key. We have to communicate more. And I think that's why I'm finally setting boundaries now, because I'm trying to communicate more. And like I said, I don't want to lash out on people by bottling things up inside. So I'm setting boundaries now. Yes, at 38 years old, I'm setting boundaries. It's never too late. I don't care. You could be 50, 60, 70, 80. It's never too late to set boundaries. If you never set them, take a seat one day and think about the boundaries that you want to set. Boundaries are a necessity. It's a necessity. Boundaries is necessary. Period. They're necessary in the world. They're necessary in your life. Everybody should have a boundary, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Everybody should have a boundary. It should be no one out here that don't have boundaries. Like I said, once again, I was one of those people that did not have none. But guess what? I have them now. And I'm standing 10 toes down on them. Period. Everybody should have a boundary. Even kids. Now, it should be a limit with your boundaries. But like with your friends and stuff like that, yeah, you can have boundaries. When you're a teenager going into adulthood, yes, you can have boundaries. I would say from middle school going on up, yes, you can have boundaries. There's nothing wrong with setting boundaries early. Listen, that'll stop and prevent a lot of foolishness from people. It will prevent a lot of foolishness. I think I've received a lot of foolishness over the year from people because I never set no boundaries. I didn't even know what a boundary was. I was clueless, y'all, to what a boundary was. I really was. I was clueless as to what boundaries was. I never even knew what a boundary was. So, it's like it's important to look into those type of things. It's very important to figure out what kind of boundaries you want to set. And then communicate once you write them down. Because guess what? Writing is always good. Now, I'm not a big fan of writing, but I do feel like writing is good. Write down your boundaries. Same way you write down your goals and your aspirations. Write down your boundaries. Now I didn't write my boundaries on paper. I put my boundaries in my notes on my phone because I just feel like that's better for me. But writing down on paper is still good. Sit down for a while. Take some time. Take some self-care. Period. If you ain't seen that video about self-love, go check it out. Because I talk about how self-love, how you need to love yourself, how you need to spend time with yourself. Listen, setting boundaries is a part of that self-love for yourself. That's when you're sitting down and it's just you, yourself, and God, and you figuring out what boundaries you want to set, what they're going to look like in your life, how you going to go about telling your friends and family, things of that nature. Listen, you can write all that stuff down on pen and paper. Or you can do like me and go in your notes on your phone and just type it all in. However you like to do it, you can do it. But I will say that it's necessary. It's necessary. Necessity, that's the word. It's necessity, but it's necessary. Yes, very. Especially in the world we living in. You don't want people to just be doing and saying anything to you because you don't have no boundaries set. You just don't want that. Excuse me, y'all. You just don't want that. You don't want that. Now, that comes with a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of disappointment. It comes with a lot when you don't have no boundaries set. And I'm just realizing that, y'all. I swear I am. I'm just realizing that. It comes with a lot when you don't have no boundaries set. That it is just a lot of frustration, a lot of irritation. You wondering why people saying and do the things that they do to you, and when you're a good person, like especially good people, I feel like us good people, we get the end of the stick all the time. But my point is I feel like we go through all that stuff when we don't have no boundaries set. You don't got no boundaries set. Like I said, it's like you're an open book. So you just allow things to come in and go out, come in and go. There needs to be a cut off. It needs to be a whoop. Stop. Pause. Wait a minute. No. It has to be a certain point in time when you realize, like, nah, you're not gonna keep going through that. Nah. Nah. And then you got somebody that's good in your life, like I do, that come to you and say, Kia, or such and such, you need to set some boundaries. And you be like, huh? What the world is a boundary? And then they explain to you, like, and then I ask, like, well, do you have boundaries? And they say, yeah. Boundaries you need them. That's why things be happening like that, and you be wondering why people be doing you like that. You don't have no boundaries set. And I said, oh, that makes sense. Okay. So once I got to working on my communication, then I was like, I want to work on setting some boundaries. And so now I got my little boundaries. And so I'm going to let my friends know soon what boundaries that I have set in place. And, all I ask is just to respect them. Same way I'm going to respect theirs. It's a respect thing, guys. It's got to be a respect thing. Respect others as much as you want them to respect you. What she say? RSPCT. We'll find out what it means to me. Period. You have to respect people's boundaries as much as you want for people to respect yours. Believe that. You can't just be like, oh, ain't gonna respect mine and I don't give a F about them. No. You don't care about their boundaries, but you want them to respect yours. You can't. That don't work like that. You have to respect your own boundaries as well. Respect them. And like I said, stand 10 toes down on them. Stand 10 toes down on them. Period. Yes. You have to stand on your boundaries. I want to make that clear. I know I done said it 1,000 times, and I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. You have to stand 10 toes down on your own boundaries. Because if you don't, the world is not going to respect them. They're going to continue to walk over them like they've been walking over. And on my end, that's dead. You going to respect mine, so I ain't messing with you no more. That's just... that's where I'm at in my life. You're going to respect me. You're going to respect my boundaries. Or if not, you're cut off. I'm not ready to do that. I ain't ready to play that game with nobody. I'm just not. But basically, that's what I wanted to come on here and talk about, guys. I'm at the end of my video. And so I want to say in conclusion, please, if you don't have no boundaries set, please set them. Listen, if you feel like I'm too old to be trying to do all that, you're not. You ain't never too old to do nothing. I used to always think that too. Like, I'm too old to be doing. You ain't never too old to do anything. As long as God put breath in your body every day to get up and do what you need to do, you ain't never too old to be setting anything. You ain't never too old to do anything. You're not never too old to accomplish anything. So you're definitely not too old to set boundaries. Boundaries are needed in your life. Trust me when I tell y'all this. They're needed. Please set them. And stand on them. And make other people respect them. And if they don't, then you don't need them as a friend or a family. Whoever. You can love family from a distance. But that don't mean you gotta be around them. You can love a friend from a distance. That don't mean you gotta be around them. Especially when they're not respecting what you're asking them to respect. Because at the end of the day, when they asking you to respect something and you respecting it, they should do the same for you. That's how friendships, relationships, family should go. Period. It shouldn't be no anything else other than that. So set your boundaries. Take time for yourself. Sit down. Set your boundaries. Put them in motion. Stand 10 toes down on your boundaries. I hope that when you set your boundaries, I hope that people respect them and they follow them just like you would follow theirs and respect theirs. I'm at the end of my video. Like I said, I hope you guys have a blessed Monday. Stay safe out here in these streets. I love you guys as always. Mwah, 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 mwah. Peace.